Welcome to the beautiful city of Napier, the so-called Art Deco capital of the world. Napier is one of New Zealand's most attractive places and home of the country's wine, housing the oldest wineries and winemaking establishments on the island. Napier is the host for the 2011 Optiworlds. 210 young sailors from 48 countries are here to claim their first important title and pave their way to an Olympic career. The favorites to claim the Optimist World Championship trophy were the young sailors from Singapore, the Dutch Bart Lambry and the Peruvian Javier Arribas. The championship started with the practice race, an opportunity for both sailors and organizers to familiarize themselves with the waters. Sunday, the first day of the new year, and what a better way to start 2012 than by participating in the first races of this championship. The young sailors know that every detail counts and are very focused on their preparation. At the same time, the officials had a chance to experience the traditional canoes called wakas, used by the local Maori tribes. What a great spectacle! The young guns following the waka. In the first race, the Greek had a great start, with many of the boats being crowded close to the committee boat. The fleet gradually split up in the upwind, with the right side having better chances than the left during the first half. However, Tiago Brito from Brazil rounded on top, coming from the left lay line. The first downwind brought very few changes, apart from Peter Lin Janizik from Slovenia, who managed to close up on the top three. In the end, Tiago Brito had to settle for the fourth position, with the Singaporean, the Peruvian, and the Slovenian finishing in the top three. The second day of the Optimist Worlds brought some nice sailing conditions. The light winds in the morning turned to southeast later and reached 15 knots. The first race had a stressful start, with many boats close to over early. Javier Arribas from Peru had his mind set for the right side of the course. The reach in the downwind didn't bring any significant changes, even if the Optimists were very close to each other. The wind proved to be very shifty in the second upwind, and the Kiwi had an advantage. Juho Kotaranta from Finland was no match for Leonard Takahashi Fry. After a really tricky upwind, the Kiwi finished first. The race was over, but the wind had increased dramatically, and it was now time for the much faster sailing for the stronger, more experienced athletes. In the third race, Tomás Ugarte from Chile, Santiago Sampio from Portugal, and Felipe Rodina from Brazil had the best start. However, Sophie Brown from Ireland and Dachi Takayama from Japan proved to be better in the stronger winds and rounded the first mark at the top. Bart Lambry from the Netherlands was close behind. The day finished with some really exciting weather conditions. On the beginning of the third day, the sailors were really anxious about preparing their boats in the best possible way. Something very important if you want to be the winner. The day started with very low winds, which made the sailors wait around the committee boat. The top 10 have a 30% difference in points between them, making it difficult to guess who is going to be the world champion.
I think it will be Bart, the Netherlands guy.
I don't know yet, but I think one Dutch guy is very good, really, really good. It's Bart.
Probably Singaporean, 55. I reckon he's got a pretty good chance of winning.
I think one from Singapore, maybe.
Singapore.
Talvez Peru.
At the first race of the day, there was a crowded start at the pin end, with Erik Nevhagen from Sweden trying to start first. However, Yu Taojin from China and Iwa Romaniuk from Poland got on top with a Turkish sailor on their windward. Their job on the first upwind was going to be hard with this shifty wind. Finally, the two Brazilian athletes came on top choosing the right lay line. They were really close to one another, with a guy from Thailand chasing them. There might be some good close-up battles until the end. The Brazilians continued their domination until the end of the downwind, while the sailors rounding behind them tacked away and moved to the right side of the course. A tricky and uncertain situation. Will they make it till the end? After the sixth race, Lambre seemed to be the sailor with the most stable performance in the event. Ryan Lowe had a really good start, but then lost some precious places. Arribas from Peru was also improving constantly. But as with all championships like this one, nothing is certain till the last moment. The fourth day of racing in Napier was team racing, where each country would fight in order to qualify for the finals. The big match of the day would be between Team New Zealand and Team Great Britain. The Kiwis had a great start, with Nathaniel Deverell at the pin end. However, Matthew Whitfield from the UK sailed fast and got on top early in the race. The upwind was really tricky, with the wind dropping to 2 knots. Anything could happen, since there was no clear ranking at that point. Finally, Leonard Takayashi Fry rounded first with a clear difference, and his compatriot Marcus Somerville came in third. Team New Zealand had the winning combination. They just needed to protect their places. But then the British struck back. Milo Gill-Taylor blocked one Kiwi on the mark, and seconds later another Kiwi was forced to a penalty. In the very last moment, Leonard, who was still leading, decided to stall the British in second and help his compatriot steal away his place. However, he made a terrible mistake and lost his own lead. The last upwind was truly astonishing. The British kept blanketing the Kiwi, and at the end, it was the British team that won. Leonard's efforts to trick his British rival into getting penalized did not pay off. Minutes later, the Peruvian team fought against the Malaysians. It seems that the top teams faced each other much earlier than the finals. The day came for the team racing finals, with the top 16 countries ready to prove which one has the most coordinated team of young sailors. Among the first races of the day, the Thais faced the Polish in a really tricky race. Right after that, the Brazilians would have a difficult battle with the Portuguese. Their neighbors, the Argentinians, imitated their strategy and beat the Spanish easily. The Latin Americans kept on winning, with Peru eradicating Norway. But then, time came for them to sail against Singapore. A true finals game. The team from Singapore, with 3 girls in each composition, is invincible. They got on top until the first mark, easily escaping the trap of the Peruvians, and won by far. However, the Peruvians didn't give up and won over Malaysia and the Netherlands. That meant again they'll face the Singaporeans in the big final. Let's see how we got to the finals. The first team to score 2 wins is the world champion. In the first race, the Singaporeans made a clever move after sailing the first upwind, blocking the Peruvians at the top mark. That was it. They had the first, second, and third boat, and they couldn't lose the race. Same thing happened in the second race. A trap at the top mark led to the same ranking until the very last reach. However, the Peruvians didn't give up. Thanks to a wind shift happening 100 meters before the finish line, they got first and third, closer to a win, but still not a winning combination. They had to think of something else, and they did. Renzo Sanguinetti blocked Jillian Lee Suk Ying a few meters before the finish and helped his team finish third, fourth, fifth, with himself being sixth. Ryan Lo Jung Han finished 8th, and Singapore lost the race. However, the last race belonged to Singapore. They got the lead from the beginning and had the winning combination as early as the first mark. They blocked the Peruvian in second at the last downwind, and they sailed safely until the end. Singapore is the new world champion in Optimus team racing. What a great success for Singapore, the Lion City. With the resuming of the Fleet Racing Championship, the sailors headed out to sea early in the morning. It was a difficult day again, since there was almost absolutely no wind, which meant that there would be a good shuffling in the overall standings. At the first start, many boats were very close to the starting line, which brought on a partial recall. John Burkett from Ecuador had the best start at the pin end side, while Javier from Peru didn't start well and had to tack and head to the right side of the course. At the end of the reach, Amelia Ruud from Sweden with David Lucan and Nicholas Keppemuller from Austria were leading the fleet. The rest of the sailors were far behind and had some crowded rounding. However, the surprise came from Rodolfo Pires, the young sailor from Portugal, managed to beat his Spanish neighbors and won the race, leaving them behind. The next to the last day of the 2011 Optimus Worlds brought some rain and bad weather to the young sailors. However, they know that this sailing experience in Napier is a valuable one, since great stars like Dean Barker of America's Cup fame started their careers in these waters in the Optimus class.
Napier's a fantastic venue, and over the years I've been lucky to do a few events here, and lasers and sunbursts and a couple of other boats. So it's nice to have a venue like this, which provides a variety of conditions, which I think is probably the most important thing for a good venue. And I'm sure the locals are putting on some very good hospitality.
The youngsters had to wait for the rain and wind to subside so that they could start racing. Everyone seemed determined to perform in the best possible way on the road to the end of the championship. The difference today was the strong swell, which was opposite to the wind, creating tricky starting line in downwind conditions. In the first race of the day, Matthias Dijk from Ecuador had a great start on the pin end side, followed by the Argentinian. They both managed to cross ahead of the fleet and head to the first mark. At the same time, the second fleet was led by Ryan Lowe from Singapore, who had an unlucky early start in the previous day of racing. He was disqualified and needed good results today. After many races, the top sailors were really close. However, their performance differed greatly. The most stable one is Elstrad, while Arribas and Abdulaziz have their ups and downs. Who was the happy winner on the last day? The last day of racing, and the top guns were determined to claim their places on the podium. Kimberly Lynn, Ryan Lowe, Francisco Ducasse, Bart Lambry, and Javier Arribas. The wind breeze came as promised, and the sailors went to sea for racing. The first start was crowded, while the second race had many of the top ones racing together. In the end, the race officers decided once again to abandon all racing due to light winds, since the boats didn't manage to round the first mark within the 30-minute limit. That meant Kimberly Lim from Singapore kept her ranking from yesterday and is the world champion for 2011. Bart Lambry and Javier Arribas completed the winning trio. The sailors gave their best for more than a week of racing here in Napier, New Zealand, and would then enjoy the closing ceremony. Of course, the young guns thanked the organizers for the super successful event and promised to meet again in July this year in Santo Domingo for the 2012 Optiworlds. It was a championship fully packed with battles, excitement, and passionate moments that confirmed the domination of the legendary young sailors from Singapore. Looking forward to their next big event.